To have you all back. Good to see you again. I wanted to start this evening off reading from a little book here. Actually, I had intended to read this in whole selection, but as we got started a little late, I'm going to do that another time. It's a wonderful little book here, a different book altogether. This is called the Sri Gauranga Mahima, the Glories of Sri Gauranga. Now this book, unfortunately, there we go, is not available at Krishna.com. This is one of those rare books found here and there about the devotional universe. But in this book are the verses and prayers of Advaita Acharya and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, one of the favorite prayers in glorification of Mahaprabhu, one of my favorites, is the Gauranga Ashtatara Shatanam Shotram. And this means the 108 names of Lord Chaitanya. So there's 5 names in this list of 108 that really stuck out in my mind. So I'm going to go over those. The first one is Dvijatama. Dvijatama means the best of the Brahmanas. And then there's Dvijavara. And Dvijavara means best of the twice born. And then Dvijanayaka. Dvijanayaka. And this is the leader of the twice born. And then Dvijajati Pujaka, the worshipper of the twice born. So the last one here that I really like is Nyasi Chudamani, the crest jewel of the renunciates. So why do these 5 stand out? Well, in my mind, they give an indication of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's position amongst the Brahmin community. Now we all know at that time Navadvipdham was the seat of study in Bengal. It was where all the scholars and where all the Brahminical personalities stayed. What is a Brahmin known for, after all? Primarily 2 things: knowledge and renunciation. As we like to say, the wealth of the Brahmins is their austerity. Now, renunciation doesn't necessarily, austerity doesn't necessarily have to be some very difficult, hard thing, some kind of dry experience like what Hiranyakasipu was doing, standing on the tips of your toes there, hands above your head until the ants eat your body away. Or even what Dhruva Maharaj was doing, living in the forest, eating, just speaking of Dhruva Maharaj, I saw he just came in the chat room. What Dhruva Maharaj was doing, living in the forest, eating leaves and breathing every other day or like that, you know, very difficult. Actually, that reminds me of a little story I'll interject here. I have a wonderful wooden box in my home. It's a little, one of those common teak wood boxes that all devotees have or have seen. And I found this box. I was in Sarasota, Florida, and I was in a secondhand store run by one Jewish community. And I was just kind of kicking around the store, looking at this and that, and they didn't have anything particular. And back in a corner, on a shelf, underneath some other stuff, I picked it up, and here was this little wooden teak box with kind of ivory highlights around it. And I looked at it, and on top of the box was carved by hand the scene of Dhruva Maharaj in the forest and Lord Vishnu manifesting before him. It had a little Dhruva Maharaj boy sitting on a stump meditating, and Lord Vishnu manifesting before him, and Lord Vishnu's outstretched hand with the conch shell. So I saw this box in the back corner of this secondhand Jewish, store, and I was like, I have to have this, but I can't let them know I have to have it. So anyway, I asked the gentleman at the desk how much it was, and he gave me a price, and in true tradition, we bartered back and forth, and for 12 bucks, I walked out of there with a hand-carved box of the pastime of Lord Vishnu appearing to Dhruva Maharaj. So, back to the point. That type of meditation that Dhruva Maharaj underwent to get the blessings, the mercy of Lord Vishnu, are not necessarily what we're going to do. Renunciation can actually be very simple, and it can be very easy. Just like this month that we're in. The month of Purushottama Adhika Masa. Now, this is technically the leap year, if you will, and unlike the leap year in the Gregorian Roman calendar, it doesn't come every 4 years. It comes a little more often than that because the time schedules and the lunar and solar differences, all that type of stuff. I'm not an astrologer, neither am I a fifth canto aficionado. but we understand that about every 2 years or so this comes. So it started on April the 15th, and it runs from April the 15th until May the 14th. And we're about halfway through it now. Many of us, I have to say this, many of us were not very familiar with this Purushottama Adhika Masa. Now, some of us that may have followed Chaturatma over the years know that occasionally it pops up during the Chaturatma season, and you have to stop your Chaturatma Vrata and all that kind of thing. But that was basically all we knew. So recently, more information has come to be known about this month, and what an amazingly potent and important month this is. So with that in mind, I have a copy of this wonderful little book here. I'm showing all my collection of rare books here tonight. This wonderful little book here. It's called The Sacred Month of Purushottama. There we go. Right there. And this was published by ISKCON Vrindavan and put out. You can see it's barely the size of your hand. It's one of those cute little books you can stick in your bead bag or in your kurta pocket. And anyway, I wanted to read from this book tonight, as I've been known to do, to read from a particular book that's relevant to things. And how might you say is this book relevant to the theme of our classes, Lives of the Vaishnava Acaryas? Well, because we know that the Vaishnava Acaryas are all following the example of Lord Chaitanya. And from these 5 names we spoke earlier, we know that Lord Chaitanya is the best of the renunciates, and that austerity is one of the primary principles of the renunciates. Therefore, to understand how we can introduce some type of renunciation or austerity into our life would be the activities of the Lives of the Vaishnava Acaryas. And they would be very pleased to know that we were doing that. So as Prabhupada was very fond of saying, the grandfather is more kind to the son than the father is. So we can read this and hope that we can understand a little bit about the mood of these acharyas. And this is from, actually, this is called the month of Purushottama, and it's from the Brihad Naradiya Purushottama Mahatmya from the Padma Purana. Actually, I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity. I got to see a copy of the Padma Purana in the New York Library. They have this one room in the New York Library where all these really old, ancient texts from around the world are kept. And you have to practically be, searched to go in, and you're certainly searched to come out. Especially since I know a couple of individuals that have made out with books that they shouldn't have made out, but we'll let that be another story another time. At any rate, I saw a copy of the Padma Purana there. Very, very amazing. So the Padma Purana has all kinds of information about spiritual topics, devotional life in it. So, one thing we haven't done is I usually ask those of you in the chat room to give me a little heads up about how the sound and the picture is. I'm assuming, since I haven't heard anything or seen anything in the chat room, that everything is okay. But Karuna Shakti or Manjesh, you're both our regular listeners, so if you could just toss a little something in the chat room, let us know that the sound and picture is good. There we go. Bhakti and Carol saved the day. All right, thank you so much. So, I'm going to start reading through this. We did get started a little late, but I am going to stick with it until we finish this, so we'll just see where the evening goes. Once upon a time, thousands of sages came together in the holy place called Naimisharanya to perform sacrifice. To their very good fortune, the great sage Suta Goswami, who had been traveling to different pilgrimage sites, arrived there along with his disciples. The sages present were very enlivened to see him. They stood up and immediately paid their respects to the great sage, offering him a very nice asan, and respected him with folded hands and requested him to sit down. The sages at Naimisharanya said to Suta Goswami with folded hands, "O Sutaji, we humbly request that you tell us something about the wonderful activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many thousands of such narrations, but we want to hear the most perfect one, by following which we can all be delivered from the material world and return back to Godhead." Now this is actually very amazing, because isn't this why we gather together in these evenings to hear these broadcasts? Isn't this why we gather together at the temple in the mornings to listen to classes? Isn't this why when some respected sannyasi comes through, you find the attendance at the temple classes to double and sometimes triple? Because we all have a desire to hear about the personality of Godhead's pastimes. Now, particularly nice, I'm sure this is true in all of your communities out there, but particularly nice we find here in Alachua where there are many different reading groups. There's the Nectar Devotion group that meets every Wednesday. There's the Chaitanya Charitamrita reading group that meets every Friday. There's different reading groups that meet and have discussions about the different topics of Krishna. And so this is a great tradition that is something that's been going on for thousands of years. And here we see the very sages of Naimisharanya have taken up this activity. But they don't just want to hear, they're requesting very specifically, we want to hear that which is the very best. And what do they define as the very best? That which will deliver them from the material world and send them back to Godhead. That's what they want. To have the opportunity to go back to Godhead by hearing these wonderful pastimes of the Lord. So, hearing this request made by the sages, headed by Shaunaka Rishi, Sutta Goswami began to speak. O sages, please listen to me. I first went to Pushkartirtha. Then, after visiting thousands of other holy places, I reached Hastinapur. There, on the bank of the Ganges, I saw thousands of sages sitting together with Parikshit Maharaj. Just then, the great sage Sukadeva Goswami appeared, and all the sages present paid him proper respects by rising from their seats and folding their hands. All the sages unanimously offered the asana to Sukadeva Goswami, who would speak Krishna Katha to Parikshit Maharaj. I have just come from Hastinapur, where I heard the Srimad Bhagavatam from the lotus mouth of Sukadeva Goswami. Now I will tell you about the all-attractive personality of Godhead and his activities. Once, long ago, Narada Muni reached Badarik Ashram, the residence of Sri Narayana Rishi. The river Alakadanda was flowing down from his lotus feet. Narada paid his obeisances to Narayana and prayed, O Lord of the demigods, O Master of creation, you are all truthful, the essence of all truths. I offer my obeisances unto you. O Lord, in this material world, all living entities are busily engaged in sense gratification. They have forgotten the ultimate goal of life. Therefore, please explain something useful both for the householders and the sages like me, something that will help us attain self-realization and return back to Godhead. Now, when I read this, I was quite amazed because this is Sutta Goswami 5,000 years ago speaking about the fact that everybody's engaged in pursuing sense gratification. And they've forgotten the ultimate goal of life. And I was thinking to myself, isn't this just exactly what we see today? And we think, oh, this is the way it is. It wasn't like this previously. But the sages are noting, no, this is the very condition of the material world. It doesn't matter the time. The material world means that we've sought sense gratification. So he's saying, how do we help to remind ourselves of the ultimate goal of life and return back to Godhead? So, hearing these sweet words, hearing the sweet words of Narada, Lord Narayana smiled. O Narada, please listen to the narrations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, for they will diminish all sinful reactions. You already know these activities of the Supreme Lord, but for the benefit of others, you are asking me again. Now, this is, again, the qualification of a great devotee, is that they request what they may already know so that others will benefit from hearing it. I will tell you about the glories of the sacred Purushottama month, which is fully potent to grant not only material happiness, but also qualify one to return back to home, back to Godhead. So just imagine, not only do the benefits of this month give great spiritual result, but also material result, if that's what you're desiring. Naradaji inquired, O Lord, I have heard the glories of all the different months, Kartik, Chaitra. But which month is this Purushottama month? O Ocean of Mercy, please tell me about this special month. What is the way to glorify this month? What should I do during this month? How should I take bath? How should I give in charity? What should I chant? Who should I worship? Should I observe fasting? Please tell me all of this in great detail. Now this shows that Narada Muni understood clearly how to inquire. He wants all of the details of this information. Sutta Goswami said, O sages, after hearing all these questions from Narada, Lord Narayana began to speak from his moon-like lotus mouth. Sri Narayana said, O Narada, I will tell you something which was previously explained by Lord Sri Krishna to Maharaj Yuddhistir. Now we do find that much of the Padma Purana deals with conversations between Krishna and Yuddhistir Maharaj. Once, Dharmaraj Yuddhistir lost everything, including his empire, his palace, and even his chaste wife Draupadi, to Duryodhana in a gambling match. At that time, Draupadi was insulted by Dushashan in front of the whole royal assembly. But when Dushashan tried to strip Draupadi naked, she was saved from such a dangerous situation by Lord Sri Krishna. After this incident, Yuddhisthira Maharaj, along with his brothers and wife, left the kingdom and lived at Kamyavan. Once Sri Krishna, son of Devaki, visited the Pandavas in that forest. All the Pandavas, including Draupadi, were very happy to see their Lord, and they forgot the painful life of living in the forest immediately. They felt enriched with a new life just by taking Krishna's darshan. They paid their obeisances at the Lord's lotus feet. Seeing the miserable condition of the Pandavas, Sri Krishna became very upset, and at the same time he became very angry towards Duryodhana. It appeared as if the Lord was going to destroy the entire universe with his anger, and so the Pandavas became fearful, and they began to pray to the Lord in a humble mood. Listening to the humble prayers of Arjuna, the Lord composed himself and said, O Arjuna, being very pleased with all of you Pandavas, and being controlled by your devotion and friendship toward me, I will now tell you about the wonderful history of Purushottama month. Once upon a time, there was an arrangement of providence that an extra month came into the world. Everyone took this month to be most inauspicious, and even saw it to be like stool. Just as one does not touch stool, this month also was seen as untouchable. It was blaspheming, constantly unprotected, and rejected by everyone as an improper time for any religious or auspicious activity to be performed. Being so rejected by all human beings, and constantly hearing only bad words and blasphemy about itself, this extra month became very sad. Now this is an important point because this gives further indication, further clarification that everything originally is personal in its nature. And being personal, there is a personality. And so these are the activities of that personality, Purushottama. This month came to Vaikuntha to explain her sorrowful situation to the Lord. Seeing Lord Vishnu on his simhasana, she fell down at his lotus feet in a mood of great sorrow and grief. Tears were falling profusely from her eyes, and she prayed to the Lord as follows. O Lord, O Ocean of Mercy, I have come to you because I am helpless. I have been rejected and blasphemed by all people of the world. Please, Lord, protect me. Please show me your mercy. Please don't you be indifferent to me. Saying these words, the extra month continued crying in front of Lord Vishnu and sat down before him in a dejected mood. Seeing the humble and pitiful position of this extra month, Lord Vishnu became very merciful toward her. He told her, Do not lament. I shall give you protection from all miseries. Please stop your crying. It is not proper to lament after having taken shelter at my lotus feet." Being so consoled by the Lord, the extra month said, "O Lord, you know my painful condition. No one is in a more miserable situation in these three worlds than I. First of all, the other months, years, days, nights, in all directions are being protected by you, and so they are always moving fearlessly in their unique, charming moods. But I, the extra month, don't have any name, nor any protector, nor a husband to give me shelter. All the demigods and the human beings reject me and will not perform any auspicious activities during my time. For this reason, O Lord, I want to die immediately." O Narada, this extra month then repeatedly said, "I want to die, I want to die, I want to die." Then she fainted at the feet of the Lord. Being requested by Lord Vishnu, Garuda began fanning the extra month. After some time, she regained consciousness and began to speak again. "O Lord of the universe, I am in need of your shelter. Won't you please protect me?" Lord Vishnu told the extra month, "O child, please don't lament. Your misery will be finished very soon. Get up and come with me to Goloka Vrindavan, which is even unattainable by great yogis. Goloka is the abode of Lord Sri Krishna. Here, Lord Sri Krishna, in his two-handed form, surrounded by gopis and enjoying his eternal pastimes, the Supreme Sri Krishna of Goloka, will deliver you from all your miseries. Please come with me." Then Lord Vishnu took the extra month to Goloka, catching her by the hand. From a distant place, Lord Vishnu and this extra month observed the effulgence of Goloka. Now this is actually interesting because we can judge, I think, our spiritual advancement by as we approach Vrindavan, which is truly Goloka, the abode of Lord Krishna, whether we're able to perceive the illuminating effect of it. Of course, nowadays we just see all the extra lights that have come from all the development that's there. The dazzling effect and effulgence of Goloka automatically forced them to close their eyes. Therefore, forced her to close her eyes. Therefore, keeping the extra month behind him, Lord Vishnu proceeded further until he reached the main gate of Goloka. There, the doorkeeper paid obeisances to Lord Vishnu. Having reached the supreme abode, Lord Vishnu met Lord Sri Krishna, who was surrounded by many devoted gopis, and paid his obeisances to Lord Sri Krishna. This must be quite a sight, Lord Vishnu offering his obeisances to Lord Krishna. Then he made the extra month also offer her obeisances at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, even though she was crying loudly. Immediately, Sri Krishna asked, "Why is she crying? She is in Goloka Vrindavan. Why is she crying?" Hearing these words from Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Vishnu got up from his seat and started explaining the miserable condition of the extra month. He begged Sri Krishna, "Please, you protect this unprotected month. There is no one except you, Lord Krishna, who can save this extra month from her hellish condition and give her full protection." Having said these words, Lord Vishnu remained standing in front of Lord Krishna with folded hands. Then Suta Goswami continued to speak. "O sages, Lord Vishnu then took his seat, and Lord Krishna spoke very confidentially these words to him. Listen carefully, for now I am going to share them with you, and I in turn will share them with all of you. Purushottama, Sri Krishna said, "O Vishnu, you have done a very great deed by bringing this extra month to me. You will become even more famous for performing this act. Because of you, I have accepted this extra month. I shall make this poor extra month just like me in quality, fame, opulence, realization, success, and in giving benediction to devotees. This month will become equally potent to me. I am bestowing all of my divine qualities on this abused and rejected month. Named after me, this month will now be famous throughout the world as the month of Purushottama. O Janardana, now that she has imbued my qualities, I myself will become the husband and protector of Purushottama. And being equal to me, this month will be the master of all other months. Now this month will become worshipable by one and all. Everyone should pay their obeisances to her. Everyone should worship her. This month is equally as powerful as me to give any type of benediction to its observer. The worshipper of this month will be able to burn all past sinful reactions to ashes, and after enjoying a blissful life in the material realm will return back to Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna continued, my Goloka is unattainable to the performers of austerities, Mahatmas engaged in pious activities, to people who maintain celibacy, or to those who fast their whole life's duration. But just by observing Purushottama month and becoming my devotee, one can easily cross over the material ocean and return back to Godhead. Now, even if we stopped right here, we would all know that all we have to do is worship and follow this Purushottama month. We're going back to Godhead. We're going to have a blissful life in this material world, and we'll go back to Godhead at the end. But Lord Sri Krishna continues. Observance of this Purushottama month is the best of all austerities. Remember, the life of the Brahmin, the renunciation of the Brahmin, the austerity of the Brahmin is his wealth, and to perform austerities during this month is the best. Just as a farmer produces a rich harvest by planting seeds in nicely cultivated land, so an intelligent man who practices devotional service to the Supreme Lord in this Purushottama month will enjoy a blissful life while in this world, and after leaving his body he will return back to Godhead. That's twice he said it. An unfortunate, ignorant man who does not perform any japa, does not give any charity, does not pay respect to Lord Sri Krishna and his devotees, does not behave properly to the brahmanas, makes enmity with others, and who blasphemes the Purushottama month will go to hell for an unlimited period. Yikes. Lord Sri Krishna continued, how can a person make this life successful unless he performs devotional service during the Purushottama month? A person who is fully engaged in sense gratification and does not give any special importance to this sacred month becomes the best candidate for hell. All human beings should perform some devotional service in this Purushottama month by, and Lord Krishna gives three things: bathing in a holy river, worshipping me, Sri Krishna, by chanting my holy name, and giving in charity. A fortunate person who follows my instructions and observes this Purushottama month properly and in a faithful way worships me will obtain fame, opulence, and a good son in this very life. After enjoying a happy life, he will return back to Goloka Dham. By following my instructions, everyone should worship this sacred month. I have made it the best among all other months. O husband of Ramadevi, Vishnu, please give up all kinds of mental speculation about this extra month. Just take this Purushottama month with you to your Vaikuntha abode.
We have a new person who joined us, Aiden.
Aiden's back. Hare Krishna, Aiden. Patrick, I see you're there too. Nice to have both of you with us. Hope you're enjoying this reading. All right. After narrating this brief History of the Purushottama month. Lord Sri Krishna glanced very mercifully upon Yuddhistir and Draupadi, and they began speaking to Arjuna. Now remember, this was originally a conversation between Krishna and Yuddhistir. O lion amongst men, you can now understand the reason that you Pandavas are suffering. You did not acknowledge or honor the presence of Purushottama month, which is just recently finished. That month, which is most dear to Vrindavan Chandra, has passed, but you Pandavas were in the forest and did not worship Purushottama month, so now you are suffering. You have been following the ritualistic principles given to you by Vyasadeva, but unless you worship Purushottama month, you cannot perform pure devotional service to me. Lord Sri Krishna continued. Now I am going to narrate a famous historical event concerning the previous birth of Draupadi. In her previous birth, Draupadi was the daughter of a great Brahmana sage called Medhavi. Her mother died when she was a small child, and she was under the care of her father. Day by day she grew to full-bloom youth. She was very beautiful, but her father was not interested in arranging her marriage. Seeing her other girlfriends with their husbands and young children, she passed her days in a very miserable way. In the meantime, her father passed away from this material world while uttering the sacred name of Hari. This made his daughter even more miserable. Fortunately, the great sage Durvasa Muni appeared in her ashram shortly after her father's death. Seeing the great sage, the girl paid her obeisance to him and respectfully worshipped him. She offered flowers and fruits to the sage. When he expressed his pleasure with her reception, she began lamenting and crying before him. Concerned, the sage inquired about the cause of her lamentation. The Brahmin girl began to speak. "O great Saint Durvasa, you know past, present, and future. I have no shelter in this world. I have lost all my relatives. My father has passed away. I have no elder brother. I am also unmarried, and there is no husband to protect me. Oh, great sage, do something. Please help me. Please give me some advice to relieve me from this miserable condition." After listening to her prayer, Durvasa began to consider the unfortunate condition of this girl, and he decided to show mercy toward her. Sage Durvasa said, "O beautiful one, 3 months from now the most auspicious Purushottama month will begin. This sacred month is most dear to Lord Sri Krishna. Just by taking a holy bath in this month, a man or a woman can become completely sinless. This Purushottama month is more glorious than any other month, including Kartik month." I thought that was an incredibly powerful statement, including Kartik month. "The glories of all other months not even are equal to 1/16 of the glories of Purushottama month. The merit of a person who takes a holy bath even once in this month is equal to the merit of taking a bath in the Ganges for 12,000 years. If you take a holy bath, give in charity, and chant the holy name of Krishna during this month, all your miseries will go away. You will achieve all kinds of perfection, and all your desires will be fulfilled. Please do not forget to worship the forthcoming Purushottama month very sincerely." After speaking these words, Sage Durvasa remained silent. Unfortunately, the young Brahmani did not believe the words of Sage Durvasa. Rather, she became angry and started blaspheming. "Oh, great sage, you are lying. How could this extra month, which you call Malamasa, which means the stool month, be superior to all the other great months like Magh, Kartik, and Vaishakha? I cannot believe your words. You are trying to cheat me. This extra month is known as being abominable for any kind of pious activity." Hearing the words of the Brahmani girl, Durvasa became very angry, and his whole body started burning, and his eyes became red. But remembering the helpless condition of the girl, he consciously controlled himself. Sage Durvasa told the girl, "O unintelligent one, I am not going to curse you, because your father was a good friend of mine. You were in a helpless condition. Being an ignorant child, you cannot understand the Vedic conclusions. I am not going to take your offense to me seriously, but at the same time, I cannot and should not tolerate your offenses toward the Purushottama month. In your next life, you will certainly reap the results of the offensive words." The great sage Durvasa then hurriedly left that place. Lord Sri Krishna then told Arjuna, "O sinless one, when Durvasa Muni left that place, the Brahmani girl, Draupadi, in her previous birth, lost all of her opulences at that moment. Being an offender to Purushottama month, her body began to look very ugly, and she lost her effulgence. She then decided to worship Lord Shiva, who is known as Ashutosh, one who is very easily pleased. The young Brahmani then began to perform austerities to please Lord Shiva, the wife of Parvati. She continued her austerities for 9,000 years. In the summer season, she would sit in meditation surrounded by fire at the hot sun. In the winter, she would meditate in the freezing cold water. Observing her austerities, even the demigods became fearful. O Lord Shankara then appeared before the Brahmani girl, because he was pleased by her worship and her austerities. When Lord Shiva appeared before the girl in his spiritual form, she immediately stood up, rejuvenated. In the presence of Lord Shiva, all of her bodily weakness from fasting and austerities disappeared, and she began to look beautiful again. Seeing Lord Shiva in front of her, she started to worship, and in her mind, of course she had no facility to worship, and then she began to recite nice prayers to him. Being very pleased with the girl, Lord Shiva said, "O performer of austerity, all good fortune to you. Now please ask some boon from me. I am pleased with you and will grant you whatever you ask." Hearing these words from the mouth of Lord Shiva, the girl said, "O friend of the poor, if you are pleased with me, then give me a husband." Repeatedly speaking the words, "Give me a husband," 5 times, the girl then fell silent. Then Lord Shiva said, "Let it be. You have asked for a husband 5 times, and so you will get 5 husbands." Hearing Lord Shiva's words, the girl became very ashamed. "O Lord, it is most abominable for a girl to have 5 husbands. Please retract your words." Lord Shiva then spoke very gravely, "That is impossible for me. What you have asked from me will be granted. You will get 5 husbands in your next life. Previously you offended Purushottama month by not following the kind advice of sage Durvasa. O Brahmani girl, there is no difference between the body of Durvasa and mine. All the demigods, including Lord Brahma and all the great sages like Narada, worship this Purushottama month in accord with the order of Lord Sri Krishna. A devotee of Purushottama month achieves all good fortune in their life, and at the end of their life they go back to Goloka Dham, the abode of Lord Sri Krishna. Being an offender to this sacred Purushottama month, you will get 5 husbands in your next life." The girl became very remorseful, but Lord Shiva immediately disappeared from the place. After Lord Shiva's departure, the young Brahmani girl became very moroseful and fearful about her future life. In this way, after a few days, she left her body by the arrangement of providence. Lord Sri Krishna then said, "O Arjuna, in the meantime, King Drupada had been performing an elaborate sacrifice. From this sacrificial fire, the young Brahmani took her birth. She appeared as the daughter of Maharaj Drupada. O Arjuna, the same daughter of Medhavi Rishi had now become famous in the world as Draupadi. She is none other than your present wife. Because she blasphemed Purushottama month in her previous life, she was insulted by Dushashan in front of the entire Kuru assembly in the presence of all of her Pandava husbands. Fortunately, she remembered me, Sri Krishna, and took my shelter. Forgiving her offenses, I protected her from that most abominable condition and saved her from the hands of Dushashan. Oh, dear Pandava brothers, please don't forget to worship the forthcoming Purushottama month. A person who blasphemes Purushottama month will never attain good fortune. This Purushottama month is fully potent to fulfill all your desires and remove all miseries. Now your 14 years of forest life are coming to an end. Please worship this Purushottama month sincerely, for it will bestow upon you all good fortune. Giving full consultation to the Pandavas in this way, Lord Sri Krishna then left that place for his abode in Dwarka. After some time, when Purushottama month appeared, Maharaj Yuddhistir reminded his younger brothers and wife Draupadi of the words of Lord Sri Krishna. All of them followed the instructions given to them and worshipped Purushottama. From the merit they achieved by performing this Purushottama Vrata, they regained their lost kingdom. And after enjoying a happy life, they all returned back to Godhead by the grace of Sri Krishna. An intelligent person should engage himself in hearing katha from a pure soul. In this way, one should always meditate on Sri Krishna and discuss his pastimes with other devotees. One should take rest thinking of Sri Krishna within his heart. If one is a grahasta, he should perform his household duties in a truthful and peaceful way. He should not commit violence to others and should be merciful towards saintly people as well as to the poor. Protection of animals, truthful speech, mercifulness, and non-violence are some of the important principles that a grahasta should follow. Sutta Goswami then continued to relate this discussion between Lord Narayana and Naradaji to the sages of Naimisharanya. So just to give us the timeline, we have Yuddhistir being spoken to by Lord Sri Krishna. And this is being mentioned by Sukadev Goswami in his conversation with the sages at Naimisharanya, to Maharaj Pariksit, in the audience of which was Sutta Goswami, who was hearing these words and speaking them to the sages in Naimisharanya. That's a timeline, you get confused. So, Sutta Goswami continued. O Brahmanas, the great sage Narada Muni became very pleased by hearing all about Purushottama month from Lord Narayana. He paid his obeisances and then began to speak. This Purushottama month is the best of all months. It is the best of all kinds of vratas and austerities. Even if one hears just the glories of Purushottama month faithfully, he will achieve devotional service to the Supreme Lord Purushottama, and all of his sinful reactions will be immediately nullified. One who performs Purushottama Vrata and worships Purushottama month properly will achieve unlimited merit and thus attain Goloka Vrindavan. Narada Muni then told Lord Narayana, O Lord, my heart and mind are now completely satisfied. All glories to you. All glories to you. After explaining these glories of Purushottama month, Srila Sutta Goswami asked permission from the assembled sages to take their leave, bathe in the Ganges, and perform other regular activities. They gratefully agreed, and he then paid them his humble obeisances and went to the Ganges. The sages at Naimisharanya then spoke among themselves. Oh, this sacred month of Purushottama is most glorious, and history is ancient with it. It is so merciful that it fulfills all the devotee's desire, just like a desire tree. How glorious is this Purushottama month! All glories to the month of Purushottama. All glories to the month of Purushottama. Whew. Amazing pastimes. Those of you that have any questions about these can post them in the chat room. I see Adian has already posted something. And if you want to say anything else, I'm going to kind of conclude here. There is mentioned in the back of here that chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita is the chapter on Purushottama Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person, and it is recommended that one read that chapter during this month of Purushottama. So we have a question. What options do we have for bathing in a holy river residing in America, especially here in Alachua, where we don't have any holy rivers? Actually, I was thinking about this because it's amazing. You know, in Mayapur, even you draw the water out of the tap, it's all Ganges water. So here, and Karuna Shakti is asking the same question about British Columbia. Well, there are two things we can do. The one thing is that one can call the Ganges by their mind. One can also call the Ganges by mantra. Gange cha jamuni chaiva godavari saraswati narmari sindakavari jalisman sandanim kuru. This calls all the 12 holy rivers into any container of water, and you can bathe yourself with that. Or maybe you have some container you've kept of some Radhakund water, or some Ganges water, or a bit of Jamuna water, and you can add that to a container of water. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's the interesting story with Indra, that when Indra wanted to get relieved from the sinful reaction, he made a deal. And one of the deals he made was with water, that the benefit water would get from accepting part of the sinful reaction of Indra was that whenever it was added to something, nobody would know which was which, and it would become all equal. Just like if you add water into some fruit juice, it all becomes fruit juice. So if you add a bit of Ganges water into some plain water, it all becomes Ganges water. You can't tell which is which. So in this way, if you have some little bit of sacred water about, you can put it in a container of water and bathe that way. Or you can call the holy rivers into that container of water for bathing by mantra. Or just within your mind, the intent. This is a very important thing, that by intent, by consciousness, one can also attain devotional service. So maybe you don't have any of the above things. By meditation, you can imagine. In our line, I've mentioned many times how Narottam Das Thakur introduced this whole process of Manasa Seva, performance of devotional service within the mind. So one can sit in the morning while chanting their japa, or after or before chanting their japa, and imagine being on the bank of the Ganges and taking bath in that most holy of rivers. Or imagine trekking into the Himalayas, to the Gangotri, to the very source, and taking bath at that place. Or sitting on the banks at Keshigat, at the Jamuna, and bathing oneself in the beautiful water of the Jamuna. So like this, one can perform this activity, whether they live in Alachua, or whether they live in BC, or whether they live anywhere.
You just have a photo gallery of holy rivers on Krishna.com.
Oh, yes. Manu Prabhu has just noted to me that on Krishna.com, if you go to the photo section, there is an entire photo.
We will. I said we will have to.
Oh, well, he's going to have to post pictures of all the holy rivers there. So you can look before the end of the month. That'll enhance your meditation.
We can mentally swim in all the holy rivers by looking at them.
So Bhaktin Carol is asking here, when we are cleansed of all sin, all old sins and reactions are gone? That's what it means to be cleansed of sins. The problem is, just here again as the Srimad Bhagavatam explains, actually Sukadev Goswami explains it very nicely to Pariksit Maharaj, that the nature of an elephant is it goes and plays in the water to clean itself and take a bath. And then when it comes out, it takes its trunk and throws dirt on itself. So what is the point of having washed all the dirt off? So yes, by these activities we described, by hearing these pastimes, by hearing so many of the processes and activities of devotional service, we do cleanse ourselves. But we have the tendency to engage again in different activities. We have a tendency to forget to properly respect holy people, respect holy rivers, respect Prashadam, all of these different things. So things accumulate again. So it's a process of being very careful and keeping ourselves in that clean condition. Karuna Shakti is asking, so you could also use water first to offer to Krishna? Yes, yes. If you offer water to Lord Sri Krishna, it becomes as good as Lord Krishna, which is as good as the sacred places, and you can bathe in that water. Sure, why not? And another question, all sins, all offenses? Bhakti Carol's very intent on this point. Very intent on this point. So to answer your question, Bhakti Carol, I'm going to go back here and read this again. One more time. This Purushottama month is the best of all months. It is the best of all kinds of vratas and austerities. Even if one just hears the glories of this month, he will be able to achieve devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and all of his sinful reactions will be immediately nullified. Now this is from the Padma Purana, one of the most important of all of our Vaishnava literatures. So I think that answers the question. Any other questions from anybody? If not, we did run a bit over time, but not really, because we started a little late, so we're actually still under time, so we got a couple of more minutes we could kill. But
we have Akilananda in the chat, well, logged in, but not in the chat room. There on the
we always have a few people listening in there. Bhakta Patrick, anything from your side? You usually have some good questions.
I think he's logged off for some reason.
Oh, you logged off there? All right. At any rate, we will finish tonight. I want to thank all of you for joining us once again. Invite you to join us again. Please say what three things. The three things. Yes, the three things that are important to perform during the month. Bathe in a holy river. Chant japa of Krishna. There's all kinds of japa, but in this case, chant japa of Sri Krishna. And to give in charity. This is a very good month to give donations to temple projects. Like here in Alacha, we've encouraged everyone because we have the installation of Krishna and Balaram coming up, and so it's a great opportunity to give donations for that. It's a great opportunity to support any kind of like Krishna.com or Care for the Cows or any devotional activity like that. So give in charity, bathe in a holy river, and chant japa. These are the three main things to remember. Perhaps the downpour. Aiden is mentioning about yesterday we had an initiation ceremony and there was a huge big downpour and all the devotees were bathed by that water during the downpour of Jugga, so that was also very beneficial. That's true. All right, so thank you very much. We would like to invite you all, not next Monday, but the following Monday. We're back here again every other Monday, and we'll join you again for another episode in the lives of the Vaishnava Acaryas. I'm your host, Chaturatma, and look forward to seeing you then. Hare Krishna.